been long when the president of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, actually came out with ways of bringing down the cost of living in Nigeria for the people or the citizens of Nigeria to have a lovely, well-to-do living in the country, for each and everyone to have an easy burden on them. And it seems that the high cost of living is currently raging in some western parts of Africa, because when you go to Ghana, there's the same thing happening there, because inflation is actually very, very high at the moment. But actually today we're talking about Kenya, because the cost of living in Kenya has actually made citizens protest against the government, and this is led by veteran opposition leader Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga is the one leading all these protests or demonstrations that is being done against the sitting government in power, claiming that the living is very, very costly and it's really costing them every penny, every dime they have on them, and therefore they are urging the government to do something about it. And we all know this demonstrations has actually been going on for some months now. It's not just once or twice or thrice. It has been going on. A series or sequence of demonstrations has been going on in Kenya, and about at least 20 people have been killed in these clashes with the security personnel and the protesters. It seems that at first the government was not hidden to what the protesters was saying or were saying in their demonstration. But as it stands now, the Kenyan government has begun talks with the opposition, trying to resolve this political feud. This demonstration that is going in and around Kenya, causing people's lives, is what has actually drawn the attention of the Kenyan government, for them to have talks with the opposition leaders, for them to have have talks over whether coffee, whether tea, whether brunch. Yeah, they are talking for them to have electoral reforms, so that these demonstrations will be called to a halt, because no one knows where and when this Raila Odinga's demonstration will actually come to an end, because the unrest, the provocation has actually prompted calls for mediation to end the standoff. Because of this unrest, it has been going on for months, with demonstrations day in, day out, has actually become an unrest in Kenya. Wherever you pass in Kenya, the citizens are really, really angry, voicing out the cost of high standard of living in Kenya, which is actually becoming unbearable for them. And therefore they are asking for them, or the leaders, the government, to bring down the cost of living, which it has actually fallen on a good ear, because the government is having talks with the opposition to know how, or the way forward, for them to be able to come into an agreement and to make the cost of living very substantiable or substantiable for the citizens in Kenya. So we're just hoping that this cost of living, or high cost of living, will be brought down in this part of the West Africa, so that each and everybody can have their way of life, or can have their freedom of living without causing or making any riots in their countries. Stick on to the channel, because we bring you more updates in and around Africa and the world.